So a lot of carbon dioxide is not good for you. And in here, it was roughly 1% of the air was carbon dioxide. And to put that into context, it's usually around 400 parts per million in our air.
The goal of this Comox Valley scientist was to lock himself in a homemade biodome to simulate a closed ecosystem for 3 days.
And I, about a couple weeks ago, finished doing a lot of the math and the research, thought maybe I would make it to 24 hours. I ended up not getting quite that far. My air budget, you could say, was tight, and without the sun, it didn't pan out as I expected.
He made it just 14 hours before the experiment started having an effect on his body.
What that meant for me is that I started to feel really sluggish. I wasn't able to think quite straight, and the air felt thick in my body. It was not pleasant.
So this will give you a pretty good idea of the area he was staying in. Just 10 feet by 10 feet, full of plants to produce oxygen. But since he didn't have the sunlight that he needed, the plants weren't able to photosynthesize. That means they weren't able to take in the carbon dioxide that he was exhaling.
So I aborted the mission as soon as I deemed levels to be unsafe. So I had air monitoring equipment in here, and it went up to a certain threshold, and actually the carbon dioxide levels rose above my ability to even detect them. And so at that point, I had to leave here. If I was in here for 3 days, I would not have survived.
The main takeaway, he says he wants to engage people in the climate change discussion and inspire lifestyle changes like eating less meat or cutting down on car use.
If we don't do anything about it, or if we continue as we are, then temperatures will rise maybe up to 6% globally by the end of the century. So that's the sort of timeline we're working on. Climate is hard for people to understand because it does change slowly, but that doesn't mean we don't need to do something about it today.
In Vancouver, Andrea Macpherson, City News.